A.J. Brown in the same breath as Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown had 8 expected touchdowns and scored 11 for receiving. And I think that the notion with Brown is he's a talented wide receiver, second-round draft capital. The Eagles paid him a lot of money. It's clear that he is an excellent wide receiver, but also Devonta Smith is not something to be scoffed at. And so you have to wonder if those touchdowns are just a product of his dynamism after the catch, and also if that's going to be something that's very sticky. So I think he's still in that wide receiver 1 category. He's being drafted in that 1-2 turn pretty regularly, but for Devonta Smith, who's also up there in accessing elite ceiling, like, why not arbitrage draft Devonta Smith if you're planning to just take an Eagles wide receiver?
Yeah, I'm a little bit lower than the consensus right now on A.J. Brown. I got him as wide receiver 10. He's going as wide receiver 8, so it's not that big of a drop-off right now. Listen, Brown is still a wide receiver 1. You mentioned this, but on the Eagles, you've got Devonta Smith being the skinny Batman to Brown's swole Batman out there. And Brown's fantasy points per game was quite swollen there, 17.9 last season, while Smith averaged 15.1. And at times, Smith simply outperformed Brown. Now, Brown has had one thing going on his entire career, whether he gets the ball or not, he is going to be efficient with those opportunities. You talk about the yards after the catch, what he can do once the ball's in his hand. Remember, the Tennessee Titans were not a passing team, but yet when we talked about fantasy production, Brown was always in that wide receiver 1 conversation, maybe on the outside looking in, but he was right there. Now, Brown is coming off a season in which he saw 29% target share and a 39% air yard share, which was the 6th best in the league, while sitting only behind Tyreek Hill when it came to yards per route run at 2.89. For Brown to see a significant regression, Hurts would have to regress as a passer, and I don't see that coming unless you consider a drop from wide receiver 5, what he was last season, to wide receiver 10, where I have him rank as being significant. Now, remember, it was Brown's first season also with Jalen Hurts, and he was top 5 in receiving yards, air yards, and touchdowns while seeing 8.6 targets per game and averaging 88 yards per contest. That was his first year with a quarterback. Chemistry has not even been established yet. I'm kind of like, hey, what's going to happen with another year in this offense with Jalen Hurts? He may not have hit his ceiling yet either. I've got him down a little bit, but it wouldn't surprise me if he actually was even better next year than he was this year.
Yeah, there have been some serious spike weeks for A.J. Brown. He's always a candidate to take it to the house, given his yards after catch ability. He's a big guy. You mentioned the swole Batman analogy. I love that analogy. One thing also in Brown's favor this past year was he was able to stay healthy. He had been dealing with knee issues for the better part of his time in Tennessee, and now he's healthy in Philadelphia and not having to deal with the double teams, because when it was Tennessee, it was A.J. Brown and no one else. So teams were able to play A.J. Brown a lot tougher. Now they have to guard against Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert and you name it. Quez Watkins is a deep threat. So there are other weapons there to take the load off of A.J. Brown. He's not having to play 100% all the time, and that may save his knees and his long-term health.